Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Now, this morning it's my pleasure to review a runaway bestseller book, which is not that often the case with the work that we do in the legal profession when it comes to some of these legal memoirs. But this is a special book, and you'll see why when I refer to what's in it in a few minutes. It's Jeremy Hutchinson's Case Histories, being written by Thomas Grant, Queen's Counsel, and it comes to us from John Murray, the publishers. It's available as a hardback and also as an ebook, and I would imagine it will be in paperback before long. Now, my wife Elizabeth and I have reviewed this book in detail. We had a nice chat about it and had a good look at it, and we've given it the title for our written review, which will be on the journals and in the web, on the web. Deservedly popular biography of a fearless and famous barrister who shaped and defined an era. And that's exactly what he did. Over 100 is Jeremy Hutchinson. Here's a nice photograph of him as he was a few years ago now. This is the actual book itself, the spine. It's a hardback at the moment. There's some interesting little comments on the back in a nice hardback. Then the dust cover has some more interesting comments. Blocked out coloured versions of various people he's dealt with. Very large number of people known to many of you throughout, I'm sure, over the years. And what we've got at the back is a picture of the author, Mr. Grant. This is the book itself. Now, the book has a lot of detail in it. There's a very useful index at the back and a very detailed select bibliography which covers a large amount of stuff. It's very well researched, and then the notes which are referred to are at the back of the book. So if you want to just check where something's come from, you can find it right at the back of the book. Let's go to the front of the book. There's the actual first page, front page. Then there's a nice dedication, which I always like to mention, from the author. And then after that, you've got the contents. It's a long life that Jeremy has had. I will call him Jeremy to make life a bit easier, and he's had a lot of interesting cases, and I particularly liked part 5, Mary Whitehouse versus Jeremy Hutchinson. And then we've got a preface which sets out where this book came from and how it germinated, and then there's a biographical sketch of Jeremy Hutchinson there, and then after that we get into the actual book itself, and there's chapter 1, and these are some of the cases. Now there's also a large amount of a lot of photographs. You can see some of them now. I've got to be a bit careful, I don't want to show too much here, but you've got all the usual suspects are here, and we've got some pictures there, and then I'll just show one right at the end. There we go, a more contemporary picture. Now, I loved this book. I thought it was a wonderful book. But there again, I'm biased because I happen to like reading legal autobiographies, legal biographies, legal memoirs, because it's all part and parcel of the human face, which is the common law. And it's the people we deal with, the cases we have, that makes it such an interesting area for all of us. What motivated me probably in the first place to want to do this sort of work and be a member of this profession. The legal profession being an interesting one, the bar being particularly interesting because of the nature of the clients we have, the hard cases we have, and frankly the challenges which we face. Now, for a man who's 100, has produced a wonderful book here through the good offices of Thomas Grant QC. This is what we say about the book. It's quite an enthralling biography of a Bloomsbury-ish barrister, famed for his silver-tongued advocacy and utter fearlessness in front of irascible judges. I wonder if you get away with it today. That's an interesting point. From the famous Lady Chatterley and Fanny Hill trials to his defence of Christine Keeler, whose pivotal role in the resulting sex and spying scandal contributed to the downfall of the Macmillan government. So Jeremy Hutchinson, for it is he, both shaped and defined an era of seismic social change. lucky enough to remember it myself and to go through it so I can speak with a little bit of authority of what it was like having been there at the time. Now, he was born in 1915, was Jeremy. He went on to become, as many have said, the greatest criminal barrister of the 1960s, 70s and 80s. And yes, in 2015, he celebrated his 100th birthday with his book. And that's why I'm doing the review a little bit later than I planned. But I really have enjoyed reading the book. And it was obviously published by John Murray as a form of commemoration for his birthday. His biographer, Grant, a fellow barrister and personal friend, recalls asking him why he'd not written his memoirs. His reply was that he was far too busy living in the present to rake over the past. Nice answer. The attitude, obviously, of a high achiever who is essentially modest nonetheless, and who wishes to keep his private life private. I believe he has said in his postscript, which lends a valedictory note to the book, that the life of the criminal advocate is enjoyable, ephemeral. Now you can see from that where he is coming very quickly, as that group of members of council at that particular time dealing with some of the biggest single issues in a very changing society. Fortunately then for the reading public, this initial hesitancy over whether he was going to write anything or say anything was eventually overcome, with the completing book being the fascinating and enlightening result. The widespread interest and almost instant popularity engendered by the book shortly after publication then is not at all surprising. And I was a little taken aback to find how popular the book was, because it's not just popular in specialist bookshops, but you go into one of the main bookshops and there it is, staring at you. So it shows you a lot of interest from the public in this. Although not necessarily a familiar household name then, Jeremy Hutchinson was spectacularly well known in legal circles and in any number of other circles as well, many of them prominent. Quote, "He seems to have known everybody," remarked a recent reviewer. For example, his acquaintances included T.S. Eliot, Kenneth Clark, the astronomer Edwin Hubble. He visited Aldous Huxley and Charlie Chaplin in America, married the famous Shakespearean actress Peggy Ashcroft. Now, the author, Thomas Grant, is careful to point out, however, that the vast majority of the cases he undertook were for the unknown and the underprivileged, the kind of cases that make up the daily meat and drink of the criminal bar. And I would hasten to add, the civil bar, because most of the people we deal with, I've dealt with famous people, but vast bulk of the people I deal with, ordinary people with a problem that needs to be resolved. The postscript, which was actually written in March 2015, will certainly be of interest to barristers and perhaps the general public too, amid concerns that the nature and scope of the criminal bar is changing, and not necessarily for the better, as we found out at the bar conference in 2015, round about the time that I was beginning to write the review. In this age of austerity then, the internet and other phenomena included, barristers in general are less well remunerated for the difficult job they do than they were in the past, and I think that is accepted. Correspondingly, there are a lot less independent and a lot less fearless members of council around, and one of the reasons is the very big changes effectively that are taking place within advocacy itself. Now, I'm not going to talk about that here, but certainly that is happening because of the way we actually present cases today. Now, the criminal jurisdiction is slightly different, but that is actually happening. So one can only then agree with Jeremy's scathing comments on the ravages created by Chris Grayling's tenure as Lord Chancellor, in the hope that positive change and much needed reform would gradually be put in place by his successor Michael Gove. I'm recording this on the 1st of February 2016, and we've had yet another climb down from the Justice Secretary, which I hasten to add, many of us are very delighted to see, because we have to have some sense and proportionality in what we are doing. Let me conclude, having said that and made that point, that those who support the preservation of individual liberty as fiercely as Jeremy Hutchinson has done will love this book. I certainly did, and understand exactly why he's done what he's done, and thank you. Apart from being a lively narrative thoroughly researched, the book presents a revealing and vivid portrait of the dizzying pace of cultural, political and social change which took place in some of the most turbulent decades of the later part of the 20th century. The publication date, as I say, is 2015. I'm recording that to the beginning of 2016. Love the book. It's a treasure. There it is again. Spine. And then the back. Just a few. You're always going to get the famous names mentioned in it. Let's go right into the middle. Would you press the button? The Cold War. R versus Chandler and others. Then you've got other cases. There's a nice picture of him there as a silk. There we go. And then you've got all sorts of other much ado about nothing. I think one of the things I do like about this book is that there are quite a lot of people. I don't know them very well, really at all. I never have come across them. But there are a lot of names of people that I have come across that are mentioned in this book. You all have your own views of them. I do, and he does. And I love the book. It's a great contribution to where we are within our contemporary legal history. So thank you so much indeed to all of the people concerned for it. It's something I will really enjoy and keep with me. Thank you. Bye-bye.